So, finding 3D characters to model or to rig, free characters that you can rig, is sometimes challenging, but they're out there. And I found this mesh here on Mixamo, this Mixamo character collection on Mixamo. I found this Army character who was free. So if we click on him, we can get a turnaround on him. We can look at him in 3D, navigating, kind of check the mesh out. So he's free. So, having decided that that's a model that we like, here's another place where I get free character models. Let's see, over here. Let's see, well, that's not coming up. Well, anyway, we'll go to Maya. And what I had done here, let's close out of that. We'll go new scene. We won't save that. And we'll tell it file, and we'll say import, file import. And this is where that file is. And this is the original. Let's go back. Let's go back up there. So this is the original FBX pose that I got when I downloaded the file. So I'll import that. Okay, so here's the scale that it comes at. I'm working in centimeters, and here we are. So we'll go and hit 5, and that's what it looks like with no textures, and it comes with the textures. So the character is already UV mapped. Its textures are already applied, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's great that it's a free character with its textures already mapped, which isn't always the case. But so here we have our character. So then what I would do is I would use the setup machine for games that I have installed, and I would say create, and I would create a biped. Creating a biped, I would bring that biped into the scene with my FBX file, and here the setup machine's actually building the biped for this character to this scale. So that's the rigging solution that I'm using. Very simple and straightforward. As an animator, I think it's important to understand rigging, to spend some time rigging, but sometimes I just really want to get to animating as quickly as possible. So this is a solution that really works well. Not only does it generate a great, robust rig, but that rig can be used to also transfer motion capture. I'm not generating a hip node. I'm just generating a world node and a spinal node, but not an additional hip node. So anyway, at that point, I would begin to position my widgets and start to move the rig into place. Mirroring is on, so it's going to mirror that, and then I would place that. So after I had done that, let's go to a scene where we have that actually done. Open scene. Let's go to our projects file, and we'll go to our anim projects, and we'll go to Army1, where we've set up a project file. We'll open our scenes, and at this point I have now added the setup machine. Don't save. I've rigged the elements, and I have the rig set up, and I've begun the weight painting portion of rigging. So let's see. At this point, we don't actually have our vest rigged. So our vest has its rotation point down at the origin, and we have only rigged at this point the soldiers. I don't even think we've corrected weights at this point. So let's go in and look at that. Let's look at what the hand's doing. This is the rig that we're getting for free inside of the setup machine. So let's see what that does. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Maybe some weighting's already been done on that. So here's the character before we actually start to add the other components. Here's what his bones look like before we start to actually combine the rig, the setup machine's rig, with the other mesh components that are in there. Now we're not going to actually rig those components, giving them a bone structure. We're just going to marry them to the joints by selecting the geometry, then selecting the joint, and then pressing P, which will... What's that, son? Yeah, it is, but sometimes that happens. And then we'll move our leg. And we might do some weight painting, but we're not going to worry too much about that at this point. We haven't really decided how we're going to solve that, but we'll come up with that solution later. So in our next file, we've actually weighted. Let's go open scene, and we'll tell it add gear 13. No, we'll go to the rig. Open. Okay, don't save. Okay, so in this file, we actually, we'll close our component editor there. We've actually rigged. Let's go over to turn on our FK switch, and we'll see how we've actually rigged the vest in now. So the rig includes the vest. And there we go. So at this point, that rig is actually moving the vest. We're getting some movement in the rear of the vest, and we pretty much decided on our skin painting, but we'll know we're going to use referencing, so we'll be able to correct the rig later if we're having issues with that. So if we select that and we go to our movement, we can see that all of our components are bound to the geometry. At this point, the head, the helmet, the goggles, they're all bound to the head at this point. And we pretty much have our weights painted on our collar. We got a little bit of movement there going on from the shoulder straps that we'll handle that, figure out what's moving that, and remove the influence from the shoulders. See. So now we're going to set up some additional controls like fist. We'll want the character to be able to make a fist. So we'll set that up. And that's how far the setup machine gets us with, let's see, that's how far the setup machine gets us with some skin weighting and the basic setup rig, the setup machine's rig. So let's go back and let's turn off the FK switch. And we're going to also give this soldier a gun. He's currently got this gun, which for a handgun, I think we're going to go with a 45 that we have from another file. So this, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. Haven't really looked at it. Haven't rigged it in. It's just parented, I think, at this point to the joint structure. So there that is, rigged for the most part. That's a lot of rotation there. What is that? Is that local gimbal? This doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad at all. Nope. Doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty good, actually. Look at that. Even in extreme movements, I mean, the geometry's following. I don't think it's going to be a distraction. You know. Let's put that there. Let's set a keyframe. Let's go Shift W, Shift E. Then let's move forward in space. Let's zero that. Auto keys on. Then let's go forward in space. Oops. We don't want to. We'll still have our scale options open. That's all right. No problem. Babe, don't worry about it. We'll zero that. Now we'll go forward. And we'll rotate that. Okay? So then we're getting this action. Okay, so then we'll just come here and we'll tell it copy. Then we'll go down here and we'll tell it paste. Copy. Paste. Okay? Bam. 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 So you bet you can. So then we'll just play that animation.